That's 2 managers sacked in the past 7 months. Wow. I guess this news comes at no surprise after yesterday's performance against Aston Villa. And you know what's kind of funny? Throughout the community, social media, I saw a lot of people that had a lot of patience with Graham Potter all like suddenly collectively come to a conclusion that they should have no patience for him anymore. And it's weird, right? Because you'll just have a feeling of when, okay, something isn't working out and it's time to move on. And when so many people have this combined at the same time, it's no surprise why this energy is going to be transferred to the top. And they're going to understand, okay, maybe this is the right time for all parties right now to let Graham Potter go. And I guess the opportunity to bring in Nagelsmann, a guy on a free, you know, can you let that slide by when clubs like Real Madrid, clubs like Tottenham are looking to get him? I mean, the stats in them paint a pretty great picture for Graham Potter. I mean, against top 10 opposition, we've won 1 game, we've drawn 5 games, and the rest have been defeats. And when you see how our season's going to end now, most of our games are against teams in the top 10 table. The stats aren't painting a very good picture whatsoever. And when you don't see any hope around the corner in the horizon, that's when you realize it is time to end things and kind of let things go at that point. I do want to say this about Graham Potter though. I think the guy, incredibly classy, real integrity. I think he's a very good role model as well too. You know, he stayed true to himself, and that unrelenting pressure, the focus, the attention, the expectations, and of course the abuse that was regularly overstepping the fine lines of what criticism should be. Criticism is what I meant. I think that this guy leaves with his head held high at least, and I don't necessarily feel like his managerial ability here reflects his quality as a coach. I'm kind of getting this feeling of like, are we like a poison chalice at this point in time? I keep going back to 2 managers sacked in 7 months, 2 good managers, and now we're going to bring in a 3rd one. And the first thing this board said when they took over from Roman Abramovich is that we want to be sustainable. Like, we want to do things the right way. We're not a hire and fire type of club. You know, so far the words not really hitting the same right now. The actions and the words are not really combining and meshing. And it's just like, what should give us the confidence to know that, okay, Nagelsmann is the perfect guy that's going to make sense of all this mess at the club right now? Is it that simple to expect that it's that easy, that one guy can just make things happen and make things work? I'm not too sure, but I'm going to have a lot of patience for Nagelsmann. I think when a new manager comes in, it's got nothing to do with them. They should be judged fairly in terms of what they can do. The game's the game. That's how everything works. But I keep going back to the confidence I can get from this vision and process right now. Do these guys even know what that really is? You know, like, are the ideas Nagelsmann's bringing, is that really going to reflect what this club wants to be? You know, I look at little details like our business in the transfer window, and I'm looking at the attack, man. Do you guys feel the same? I feel like we've got so much great attacking individuals. What is really the plan to make all these guys play together, to make sense of what they're doing? What formation would that be? Like, I'd imagine if I pose a question to you all, there'll be like 10 different 20 lineups about how we should play, what we should do. We got so much talent and quality right now. Our issue's been, how do you make it make sense? What is the best solution out from this mess right now? And for me, I kind of feel like this sacking of Graham Potter is like a consequence of this type of business-like approach that we've seen from the board. Because from a business point of view, right, it makes a lot of sense that, you know, if you're in it for the long term, you want to quickly just disable as many things as possible right now. You want to literally do a scorched earth approach, you know, burn everything down to the ground, rebuild it up as soon as possible. That does work. There's probably great, like, amazing cost reasons behind why that works too. But there is like a human consequence of that. You know, you got to think about these guys on the ground, right? How they're doing their daily interactions. I mean, it's brand new staff, brand new medical team, brand new transfer team. I mean, a brand new groundsman, for God's sake. We even sacked the groundsman to bring in a new one. Like, that is a lot for people to have to deal with, right? And to make sense of all these different moving factors happening behind the scenes, I don't think it's going to be as simple for someone on the ground level. Hopefully Nagelsmann can come in with a new set of eyes and a fresh perspective. I'm saying Nagelsmann because realistically he'll be the guy to replace Graham Potter. most likely this guy is analysing some of maybe the downfalls that you saw in Graham Potter, and then making sure he's not doing the same thing. So it's going to be really interesting to see what players he turns to, what lineups we could use, how we can play, because right now we have so much talent in the squad. Finding the most optimum way for these guys to all play together and make sense, and to be that super Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern-esque club that this board wants us to be. Like, this stuff doesn't happen overnight. Like, this stuff does take a lot of time, and I guess to really get there, you know, really settling down on the core and identity of what you're trying to be and what you're trying to do, that's something that you have to decide upon and then actively build towards making that happen. You can't just instantly buy that and hope that you're going to bring in like quality like this overnight. It doesn't work like that. So I'm really hoping that this potential hiring of Nagelsmann will be the last sacking I see for a long time, because if I see Nagelsmann suffering due to having to work with such a bloated squad and all these moving parts behind the scenes, then there has to be criticism on the boards, because I do feel like this strategy has made things a lot more difficult. It has made the season what it is right now. I mean, I get it, you know, post sanctions, nothing's in place. I guess we should have expected that it is going to be difficult. But I'm going to keep re-emphasizing the human consequences that come from things like that, because it's a very overwhelming thing to do, and it's very easy for us to just be on the opposite side saying if that lineup's used, that lineup's used. It's a lot deeper than that when you have to literally build like a team, build a way of playing, use training sessions to re-emphasize that. Like, if you're constantly changing up the tactics and finding new ways to play and all these upheavals, that's going to be very hard to build any type of proper consistency. So the fresh eye perspective that Nagelsmann could bring is going to be really interesting. It's going to tell us a lot about what he's seeing and studying with the squad. And I'm hoping that this guy is able to find solutions with these players, because I want to make sure that I have some confidence behind what I'm seeing in terms of this process and plan right now. You know, I don't want it to be a case where we see talented players here and they're suffering because there's no real proper reason to have to use them, or there's no system that gets the best out of them. It's been like this for way too long. And I'm going to keep saying that the board definitely takes a big L on this sacking of Graham Potter today. It wasn't necessarily on the shoulders of Graham Potter by himself solely to begin with. I've been talking about a lot of gloom, but I'm an eternal optimist at the same time. Obviously, if the board are thinking this is the right decision to make, a part of them is acknowledging the fact that, okay, we are going to be heavily criticized for a move like this. Of course, we are going to be on the spotlight. It's not reflecting too well on the strategy and plan for this club, right? But we felt like this was the right thing to do right now. And at least we're not slaves to having to protect our image, because we care about the club and moving forwards. Maybe this is what the sacking is really communicating, and that they've noticed the issue and they feel like, okay, we've taken the L, but the future and progression is a lot more important than our pride and ego. So I'm hoping it's one of those types of moves, and that these guys still have hopes for turning the season around, because this season has been a malarkey of a season, realistically. Like, 1 week you're bantering this club, and then you're getting bantered the next day. It's been one of those types of seasons. Realistically, if you can go on like a run of a few games at least, if you can build some confidence against getting a win against Liverpool's and Madrid's, etc., etc., all you need is a handful of games won, and things become completely different. And is this squad that bad that they couldn't go on like a 5-6 game unbeaten run? I'm not too sure, and who knows in that 10 more games time, what could the league table really look like? So there's still some things to fight for and to play for. Maybe this is what the sacking is trying to communicate, that, listen, we haven't given up hope that things can be achieved here. We accept that we've played errors on our part. We have made things difficult. It's not an easy situation for most managers to come in and make things work. But results and success are important, and that's what we're in the business of doing right now. We didn't think Porter can do it anymore. Nagelsmann is the fresh eyes that we need to make sense of this, because we are not giving up on this season. So let's hope we can see a bit of positivity right now. Let's hope that we can see an upshift in the team. Reactions, lineups, the future is going to be crazy, but this is what life's like as a Chelsea fan. Like, everything's constantly moving, everything's constantly evolving and changing. What was happening yesterday isn't happening anymore. We're one of the craziest clubs out there, to be fair with you. But I guess there's still a lot to fight for this season. And as I said, Graham Potter, I don't think his performances here reflects his qualities as the manager perfectly. I think the guy's a top manager. I just kind of feel like the situation, the pressure, I kind of felt like maybe he had a negative impact on his performances, because when you're seeing a coach going through so many different tactical changes, we play like, what, 3 or 4 times, 3 or 4 different types of ways. The game management decisions where, you know, everything gets too overwhelming. You can't make the right decisions when you need to. As Reece James said yesterday after the game, right? It's frustrating for the players because it's the details that's costing us. And I think as a fan base, we can admit that we are seeing effort from the players. We are seeing good performances. Let's not act like all the players are crap. They're playing below 6 out of 10. I mean, come on. Ben, Reece James, Enzo, Cover, João Felix, Havertz. That's a lot of quality and good performances. And you could probably see it in a way where it's like, okay, are their efforts being undermined now because the manager isn't getting those details right? He's not making the subs when he has to. He's not changing the game in certain ways when he has to. He's not starting the lineup perfectly as he should. When that happens and those details keep coming back and costing us, it does kind of paint towards maybe one person who has more responsibility for why that's happening more compared to others. And, you know, if the team are still fighting, if the owners feel like we can take a nail on this, maybe we should have a bit of hope about what this future can bring. It's a nice situation that Nagelsmann could be the replacement, and it makes complete sense what we're going through right now. Madrid's Tottenham, they can't have him, and realistically, the managers in the market right now, how many top ones are there? Like, is Nagelsmann this unicorn that's going to save us? Because he's like a unicorn opportunity in the market right now. Think about it like this. I mean, Graham Potter's probably set to earn millions and millions after being sacked, but you can probably hold that because you know that Nagelsmann's here on a free. Realistically, you'd have to pay like at least 15-20 mil just to sign him from another club. So in that sense, it's like a bit of an offset, right? Maybe that's why it just keeps leading towards the fact that they couldn't miss out on the opportunity to go and bring in a Nagelsmann. Now, the only thing that would be bad is if we somehow fumble this. But after reports came out that we were having contact with Nagelsmann, I think it was quite clear that we were making sure that we secured our next guy. And this was the time to let go of Graham Potter. So, my friends, on that note, there's going to be tons of videos coming out tomorrow. It's incredible news right now, but I think it's kind of fair. It was expected. Potter leaves with his head held high. And I still think that the boards, you know, expect there to be consequences when you want to scorch the earth to the ground and rebuild things up in like 1 month's time. I mean, it's never going to work. I've never seen that happen in any field ever. So why is that going to happen in football? So, my friends, I'm in EFC. This is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.